Hello, my name is Max Gray. Welcome to a special edition of the Masuk Report. I am joined by our First Selectman, Mr. Steve Vavrek. For those of you who don't know, in the past few weeks, Mr. Vavrek proposed his budget for the coming fiscal year, which includes a 5% increase in expenses and a 6% increase in taxes. That I say proposed because that is not a final budget, and in the coming weeks, the Town Council and Board of Finance will have their say before it goes to the voters for referendum. Thank you for joining us.
Thank you very much, Max, and I look forward to explaining the budget process, maybe simplify a few things for you.
Well, let's start with roads. You talked a lot about roads infrastructure during your campaign. How do those principles and those promises, how are they incorporated into this budget?
What we have to understand is that in the past maybe 14, 15 years, our roads have been deteriorating on an ongoing fashion pretty rapidly. In 2007, there was a study done is exactly how bad they were and what roads had to be fixed. And it was determined at the time in 2007 that our roads had a 52 rating. Obviously, it's 3 years later now, and those roads have gotten worse. So what this budget does is basically we've increased the road maintenance line from 266 to 347. That'll be the basic maintenance of everyday roads so they don't get worse. But the bulk of this is going to be a bonding package over the next 7 to 10 years that'll be putting approximately $2.2 million back into the roads. And those are the neediest roads first, obviously. So I feel I'm fulfilling that promise.
You talked about a number of 52. Just to clarify, is that a number out of?
That's basically, that's out of 100. To put it into school terms, if you get a 52 on a test, you're not going to be passing anytime soon.
No, not here. On the issue of education, you talked during the campaign about how education and the town sides of the budget should both be kind of brought together, and they should complement each other. You cut, in your proposed budget, $850,000 from the Board of Ed's proposed budget. Can you explain the need for the large cut and how it complements the town side of your budget?
One thing that has to be clarified is that, let's just say we have, for purposes of math, we have 12,000 registered voters in town, 4,000 being school voters, education voters. That's 2/3 of the town that doesn't vote for education. In some census, and some people say they don't care. My job is to put together a budget that people will accept the first time out. The $850,000, I've had everybody say from take zero out to cut $2-3 million out. So I basically put it in the middle, and that's with working with Dr. Palmer and Board of Education members to try to get to some area where it is going to be acceptable to the voters. Saying that, there's a long process left, and that's the job of Dr. Palmer and myself, your elected officials, to advocate for this budget as is.
From another perspective, a lot of people in town and people that I've spoke to have claimed that budget and those the cut really sacrifices schools for roads. How do you reply to the charge?
Well, roads are very important, but education is the most important thing. But once again, there's 2/3 of the residents in town, taxpayers, that do not have any stock in the school system, and they're saying cut much, much deeper. It is going to be my job, as well as the elected officials' jobs, to get out and actually actively advocate why no further cuts should be made.
Yeah. Well, we've talked mostly about spending on taxes and income for the town. You're going to be raising taxes. This budget proposed anyway, it raises taxes. You spoke on the campaign against an opponent whose administration raised taxes. Right. What caused that change of perspective?
It wasn't really a change of perspective as much as trying to limit the tax increase. The town side, I proposed $354,000 in spending increase over last year. That's a 2.18 increase. That's one of the lowest tax rates for a town pretty much across the area. We put no money in for any raises. There will be no raises once again in town. And in some instances, it's going to be the third straight year for some of these people. it's something that we needed to do. Part of the increase also comes from a town sharing a greater cost in technology. As you've seen in the past couple of Board of Education budgets, there hasn't been money put in for technology. That's the fixing of your infrastructure. In talking with the department heads from technology, the school system, and our own town department heads, the technology ranking right now, as I said, the roads were 52. The technology ranking right now is a 70. That's obviously a C. That's unacceptable. We spent a lot of money in the past in the town for technology, and now we just don't have the infrastructure to make it whole, to train, to fix things. I don't want to get into what needs to be fixed and what doesn't, but you have to trust your elected officials that we know what's best. We chose to put the technology side on our budget. So between technology and roads, those are your two main drivers of a $354,000 increase.